that's willing to take anything.
Nick
And
is
you
here.
display a lot of interest of females for you. Nick is here. Hello, Nick.
Hey, what's going on?
Let's
How
see
you
your. Do you have a cam?
I do.
I wanna meet
but,
you.
I'm not in my suit yet, actually. So.
Oh, this is like a young guy. I thought this was going to be an older guy.
No, I'm
Yeah.
20. I turned 20 last
Nick
week.
is a young
20?
American conservative.
Does he have a channel or something?
I do. Yeah, I can't stay for long because I'm going live in about 15 minutes. But
we should pop on over to your channel so you can rip me to shreds for my
I bet you'd like that
lifestyle.
I bet you'd like that. But no. Sorry, the America First program is a no thought zone, unfortunately. So we're not going to be able to move it over there. I don't know. I mean, JF, I have
called me a thought.
Well, I mean, you're a porn star, right? Isn't that?
I'm an ex-porn star, but now I run a company that I've raised $200,000 for. So am I still a thought now?
Once a thought, always a thought. And hey, look, if, in my opinion, if you breathe, you're a thought. But
so basically, you've never had sex, is what you're telling me?
Correct. Well, I'm not married, so why should I have had sex before?
Because if you have, I don't think you'd be like this.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, you're coming at it from a different paradigm. I mean, are you religious? Are you a religious person?
I believe in something, yeah. I don't.
Well, what is that? Do you believe in God?
So there's just so many different ways to believe in God, and when you start getting into that conversation, it can be very controversial. So I have my own belief system, but I'm not an atheist.
You're not a Christian, right?
I don't know how to answer that because I wouldn't say I'm not, and I'm not. So okay, basically what it comes down to is I just think there's a lot of different religions that seem to have a lot of overlapping similarities, which I find very interesting. And it's interesting how similar they can be. I've taken, theology classes. I went to a Catholic college, believe it or not. And it's hard for me to ascribe to just like one Bible, especially like the King James Bible edition actually reads a lot differently than if you read like a Jewish translation of Hebrew of the Old Testament. They read a lot differently. Like the Jewish translations are way raunchier than the King James. So it's hard for me to say I'm definitely believe in this because it's questionable in a a lot of ways.
Oh boy, he went to college. It's funny because I
went to college. Oh, surprise!
No,
you're in college.
I dropped out of college, and it's just funny because I encounter so many people who have gone to college or have graduated, and I listen to people talk like yourself who have gone to college, and I shake my head, and I'm like, good thing I'm not wasting the money, right? Well, I ask because to me, it's a moral issue. To me, the porn stuff and the sexual hedonism and deviancy and degeneracy to me is a moral issue. And the trouble, I was debating whether I would come on or not, because the problem is I can't really shame you. I mean, you don't have a moral code. You're if you do, you're not bound.
Really, I don't have a moral code just because I've had sex before marriage or something. I don't have a moral code. I don't have an ethical consciousness.
Correct. And so it's impossible for me to shame somebody like this.
Have you ever researched anything in your life? Like, have you ever?
Yeah, I've researched things in my life. I have.
You don't understand how someone can have ethical standards that don't comply with your own, but that doesn't make them an immoral person. They're not moral along the lines that you personally think is your moral compass, but that's a very egocentric view, is to push your own morals onto other people.
It's actually Catholic. It's Catholic. But I mean, it's funny because I'm sure JF, like me and JF have had this conversation on this show like a million times with atheists and all kinds of people. But and I've talked to many people like in recent weeks in person on streams, and it always comes back to the question of morality, the problem of morality for people that are not really people who are not Catholic, which is to say that if you don't believe in extrinsic morality that's established authoritatively outside of human beings, it's really hard for people to make, Jay Dyer likes to use this phrase, universal world claims, and say, well, X is good, X is bad. I mean, the most a person like yourself could say is, I believe something is bad. And, for people who watch JF, like we've heard this a million times before, but that's just not sufficient to have a moral society, to have any kind of society. And look, if you had it your way, not only, it's funny too, because you're like, well, I'm running a business. Like, I don't think women should be running businesses. I don't think people, or rather women, should be working in businesses, So it's like, well, I'm running a business. Like, oh, like, is that supposed to be like good? Is that supposed to be better? I mean, to me, you ought to be in the home, should have babies, should have a husband. You should be raising them. You're engaged?
I'm engaged. Hi.
Oh, God.
I'm engaged to an actually very conservative Christian man in Texas.
Yeah, conservative. What a sucker. I feel bad for him.
He's not a sucker.
I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but how old are you?
I'm 27 and he's 29.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What's happening? This is the last thing I needed today.
So what'd you say? So why did a bunch of primarily men give me $200,000 to build a company? I didn't do anything. I didn't take my clothes off. I didn't webcam.
You're dumb.
I did it merely on my own intellectual merit.
I'm sorry. I
worked at a top-tier investment bank on Wall Street. What do you say to that?
I don't like Wall Street. I don't like investment bankers. Anybody would give a loan to a woman running a business deserves to have their money lost. But
so do you just think women are stupid? Like, clearly, like,
no. I love
women on the Supreme Court. So I'm a little confused.
Women. Believe me, I love women. I cherish women. But I just think that they ought to be raising kids. I think plenty should be, but what about the ones who that's just not the right lifestyle for? Not that like one size does not fit all. It's like saying men should only ever go labor in the fields and make money and like hunt and bring home whatever. But like men are allowed to have all these different career paths and opportunities, but women can't. Yeah, correct.
Why?
Because men are designed to bring home the bacon. I mean,
yeah, but that's fine. They go out and they make the money, but they can still do all these other things that you don't agree women can do.
Yeah, well, women, I mean, like they're made for that particular purpose. Like,
what about being actresses?
What about actresses?
Well, that's you can't have entertainment without women working in it of any kind.
That's true. I suppose you could have women actresses, but if we're talking about in a general sense, like, I don't know if you could put a percentage on it,
and they can
have vast majority of women ought to be at home. And especially when we have this problem with our fertility rate, it would be one thing if the fertility rate were over 2.1, then you could say, well, maybe
the world has an overpopulation problem as is. The world is not sustainable. The world does not have an overpopulation. Yes, it does.
Overpopulation problem is like a brown people overpopulation problem, because our fertility rate for the white race is in peril. I don't know what podcast you're listening to, but the world's overpopulation problem is in Africa, it's in India. The kinds of people that are overpopulating the world, they're not inventors, they're not scientists, they're people that use dung for fuel. They're people who on average have an IQ of like 70 or 80. And like, look, you could have done it. I mean, I saw the stream. You were okay looking. If you were 18 and you were married away by your father and you had 10 children, man, we really could have had it. We really could have had something. But
you and me. Oh wow.
Now you're. Well, maybe you'll have some kids. That time's running out. The sand is going very quickly through the hourglass in terms of the biological clock. I don't want to get too personal what stage you're at, but maybe you'll be able to have some. Hopefully you won't get a divorce or anything. I mean, are you committed to your fiance? Are you going to have a divorce?
We've known each other for 11 years, actually.
That's good. Well, good. I mean, hey, we're putting it back together, right? I mean, are you gonna? I would say there's hope if you committed to being Catholic, but I really have no hope. I mean, like I said earlier, once a thought, always a thought. Tragically,
but I have a great life, and I have an amazing following, and I have been on major media. I've been on Fox. I've been on CNN. I'm married. I have the best of both worlds. I work primarily from home because I run an internet company. It's an internet startup, So what is so limiting here? Why is this so bad? I mean, I'm going to create jobs. I'm going to create value.
Oh, I'm happy for you. If you're happy,
why does it offend you so much for women to have a position? I mean,
it doesn't offend me.
Want men. It clearly does. No,
I just think it's wrong.
Would stay home and shut up and have sex and babies. That's why I get it.
Correct.
But why
whipping up dinner too? Well, look, I mean, here's the problem: is you're speaking in terms of the value you're speaking in terms of is economic. You know, you say I'm creating jobs, I'm creating like economic value, and to me, this is such a perverted lens to view the world. I mean, what creates value is a home.
There's plenty of women who do that, though. There's just okay. Here's the thing. I don't disagree that there's plenty of women who 100% would be happier as pure housewives and baby makers. I mean, I would actually say there's more of those than chicks who want a big career in their life or whatever. Most women tend to kind of at least short circuit their careers for family and babies because so many women do want children. This is a common thing. So. What was I saying? So why does it bother you so much, though, if there's women like me who that's just not the right lifestyle for, who can provide a lot of value to society and a lot of just positive things to the world by not being in your like cookie cutter philosophy?
Because it's tearing up society. I mean,
it's not though, because I'm a minority. It's women working is not tearing up society. Women overall still primarily want to get married and have babies. Like that's still the most common goal. With
I don't think that's true. Is there
not by as early as you guys would like? Maybe they don't want to do it by they're 21, but they for sure end up wanting to do it by the time they're 30.
I'm genuinely asking, is there data that supports that? Or are you just speaking from like your own experience?
Well, the data is inherently out there by merit of like men in high power positions, like versus women and the kinds of jobs.
Just because men are better at it, not because women don't want it. It's because men are better at it.
No, if women want positions, they get positions. So there are plenty of examples of women.
Maybe there's like an affirmative action program, but I mean, look, by and large,
there's women in the Supreme Court. There's women. There's women, the executives of Facebook. There's women. I mean, exactly. There is data to support that startups with at least one female co-founder are more likely to succeed than startups with no female co-founder because women tend to bring a different perspective to the table, especially to do with
stupider perspective.
No, women tend to be better at marketing. We'll go to any marketing floor at any company, and it's got to be a lot of chicks because women just understand people better. They tend to be more empathetic, and therefore they can appeal to them better and design better marketing strategies. Oftentimes, there's a lot of men for sure who can do that as well. But women have different skill sets than men, and for sure there's some things men are better at as a whole, generally speaking, than women, and vice versa. So that's why I don't really understand with you why it's so offensive that women can have. What?
Well, you said men have certain skill sets that they're better at. And I said, yes, like science, math, business, driving, like the things that you tend to excel in business in if you have those aptitudes.
Driving? You know? How the hell does what is driving? Oh, you just think men are better at driving. Okay.
I just threw that one in there.
Whatever.
To bug you a little bit. But look, like I said, if you're happy, I don't know what your situation is. I don't really want to interrogate, like, are you really happy? Are you like depressed or anything? No, I just tend to think that all women have the biological imperative, which is they have to settle down with a mate who can protect them and have children. To me, the happiest women that I know are ones that are married and have kids, and the ones that are miserable are the ones that are working. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're one of the exceptions. If you are, God bless. But
that's my point. Is like you have to acknowledge that there are plenty of exceptions to your world-sweeping worldview or whatever.
I don't have to acknowledge anything at all, actually. But I will say there are. I will admit there are some exceptions, but I think by and large, again, we're in peril as a society. And you said women working is not wrecking society. It absolutely is, because when you take the woman out of the home, this unleashes so many horrible things, like children then go to daycare and are raised by people in daycares or public schools. And so you've wrecked the next generation immediately with that. Women working means that men are more stressed out. They're not able to excel in their jobs because it's not like they get to come home to a nice, cooked dinner and a clean house and that kind of thing. Moreover, women are cheating on their husbands when they're at work. And if they're not, there's
men cheat on women at a far higher rate than women cheat on men.
I think it's much different. I think it's wrong in both cases, but I think it's it's a little bit better when men do it than when women do it. That's just my opinion.
Oh my God! Can you just tell me like what your upbringing? I'm so curious about how.
my mom, she gets so mad when I say this stuff. She's like, you know what? She tells me, Nicholas, as a woman, I hear the way you talk about women and it offends me. And I'm like, Ma, relax.
Yeah, I'm surprised how you got this way with a mom like that, and that that case, it seems like your mom isn't just what you envision women should be if she has this kind of perspective. So what did this for you? Like how, this is you understand, like you're definitely the minority in these kind of views these days.
I know.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know. All my friends are no longer friends with me anymore. I'm a hermit. I'm a curmudgeon now because of my eccentric ways and fringe views.
I wouldn't say it's eccentric. It's old.
is.
It's a very old world view.
Because of my eccentric personality, which is separate. But
you don't seem eccentric. You actually speak articulately. You seem reasonably art intelligent. Just you just also seem a bit young, and that's why you're making these like huge generalizations. It's like you haven't encountered all the gray area in the world just yet. How do you do with girls?
I don't really talk to girls. I make it a habit not to. Look, I'm not in a
found a girl
where...
that shares your views.
No, well, I mean, there's Faith Goldie, but she's engaged, so, and she's older than me, so no luck there. Perhaps Lauren Rose, but I hear she's taken, so I don't really know. And in the e-celeb community, at least. But where were we at before?
Here? Clearly, this isn't going to be a very successful strategy for you to obtain the future you want.
The strategy right now is I got to make money first. It's like Scarface says, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. And that's my 10-year plan, basically. That's how
I'm going to make all the money with all your great business sense.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's going to be through premium memberships for America First for my show. That's how we're going to. No, I actually don't know. It's kind of tough. I mean, it's tough out there for people that are radical right-wing people, but I'll find a way.
That's tough for Alex Jones.
Well, hey, he's got millions and millions.
If it wasn't because of me,
I'm always here for you.
Nick Fuentes could.
If you need any business advice, I'm here for you.
I just might take you up on that sometime.
If it wasn't because of me, Nick Fuentes could have become a Fox co-host, but I got him involved in so much Jewish question-related debate. I dirtied his name forever.
You sullied my reputation, JF. I'm never going to work in this town again because of you.
I know you have to go to host your own podcast, but I thank you for coming. We'll continue the discussion without you. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Back in the days, Nick.
Enjoy NoFap.
I will. I will enjoy heaven. I'll be praying for you.
All right. I'll be burning in hell.
You will, but that's all right. Thanks, JF.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God, Paige.
You didn't tell me he was 20. Jeez.
Yeah, he's something. He's one of the best speakers right now on the internet.
He's a good speaker. I'll give him that.